Hey everybody, how are y'all doing? It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7 Reunion Part 1. And when I tell y'all, I was so gagged by those last few minutes. We have so much to discuss. We are back again, honey. Yes, 2 lives in one day. And you know I poured up some rosé. And did you guys just see the breaking news? Diddy got sentenced to 50 months. I was hoping he'd be sentenced for a longer time than that, but I'm glad that he's going to be in jail for a few more years. So that man is a monster. So glad that we got, I guess it's some justice, because I was nervous that he was going to walk free, but he got 50 months. And I hope that the judge sees to it to add some more time on there. All right. Yeah, it's not long. Yeah, he deserved life under the jail. He sure did. Exactly. Yeah, it's too that we're on the same page. It's too little. But you know what though? There was a part of me that got nervous that he would receive no jail time. So small, it's a very small victory, because it could be worse. They could be saying, well, 6 more months and then you're out. And the audacity for him to have speaking engagements booked in Miami for next week. He really thought that he was going to walk free today. Sick man. But yes, honey, we are back. We are back for Miami. Honey, let me say this though. Guerdy, you started off strong. You had fight in you. We love to see it. But Miss Mamas, I need you to work on listening to other people, because I'm sorry, Guerdy, you really missed out on landing the plane and making your point. You didn't do it. I'm so upset by Guerdy's segment, y'all. Like my heart wept because Guerdy could have really drove the point home and she failed to do so. And Guerdy, I have to low key just tap you on the wrist just a little bit, because again, Miss Mamas, you let me down. You started off strong, but then you fizzled out, and Adriana told you right. But we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, y'all. Cheers to us. It's Friday. Hope y'all are having a good day. Let me sip. All right, now let's get into it. Yes, honey, Guerdy's our girl. We gotta stick together, but valid, Brooke. No, she doesn't like to fight. Yeah, she gave up. She ran out of steam. I think Guerdy was over it. Yes, honey. I felt bad. So it is the day of the reunion. We see they're in New York. It is 6:35 a.m. Everybody's in glam getting ready. We see Lisa. She says that she's cool as a cucumber because the truth is on her side. We see Larsa saying that she's not really a receipts girl. She doesn't have all that nonsense on her phone. She only has pictures of her feet and her boyfriend and her kids. Now, Larsa, I don't know if I believe that, because any other time we've seen you bring out receipts if need be. So this whole thing about, well, I'm not a receipts girl. I said, okay, girl, I guess. And Larsa, you were on one. I don't know what your issue is with Guerdy, but it was really weird. The way you were writing Guerdy this whole entire first part, it really pissed me off. But I'll get on you in a minute. But yeah, I don't know what your issue is with Guerdy, but it was just really strange the way you were talking to her throughout this first part. I didn't like it. Yes, Larsa was doing way too much. I agree. So now we cut to Julia in the makeup chair. She's asking her makeup artist if they've brought waterproof makeup, because she's gonna cry because she's in the hot seat. So Julia, when you pulled out the Karen tears, I wanted to jump through that screen. I'm not gonna say what I wanted to do, but you can fill in the blanks. For you to play victim after you assaulted somebody, you threw water on Guerdy for no reason. For you to sit there and say, it's been a hard few months, the attacks on my family, and I'm not weak, but it's a lot. And then for you to start sobbing, I said, excuse me. And then your makeup artist saying, oh, girl, I get it. It's because you're a Cancer. I said, astrology has nothing to do with any of this. This woman was dead ass wrong. That's the end all be all. That's the whole thing about this. For her to act like she's blaming it on her being a Cancer, I'm like, nobody wants to hear that. So now you have Marisol and Alexia come into her dressing room and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay, Julia? So Julia starts weeping. They're giving her a hug. Julia was crying like somebody died. I said, this is ridiculous. I said, Julia, you should feel ashamed of yourself to be sitting here sobbing when you're the one who caused this whole entire thing. Like, what are we doing here? How are you sobbing harder than the victim? Julia, you could never with me because, honey, I can cry. I can listen. You think you've seen somebody sob? You think Candace on Potomac cries? Honey, I can cry harder than that. They would have hated me on Potomac because, baby, I will sob down. Baby, stop. Girl, I would, if I were Guerdy, I would have been sobbing so much. You wouldn't be able to take me. I just said you should feel ashamed of yourself to be sitting up here trying to get sympathy. Julia, all throughout this first part, it really screamed that you were doing anything in your power to save your spot because I'm sure that you're on the chopping block. Hey Cortez Mac TV, thank you for the super chat. I teach high school and started all my classes today with "Let's go." Oh, that's so cute. Let's go because we don't have a minute to spare. Instantly thought of you. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. Hey, Devonta Franklin, thank you for the super chat. This reunion triggered me because it gave me that the ladies wanted to validate Julia's feelings more than Guerdy's. Oh, absolutely. Julia deserved all the backlash. Oh, they were definitely protecting Julia at this reunion. And there were parts of this reunion where I felt like Alexia, Marisol, and Larsa probably called her up on the phone and said, "Oh yeah, girl, don't say too much. Sit there, and we'll get Guerdy for you. Like, we'll stick up for you. Don't say too much. You just sit there, and we have your back." It definitely gave that a phone call was made because Julia was eerily silent, especially during the whole Guerdy part, and that it was alarming to me. They made a pact to have Julia's back no matter what. It's ridiculous. Yes, they were protecting her. Oh, for sure. For sure. And Andy, I'm sorry, you can always tell when Andy prefers one housewife over the other one because, honey, I felt like he was a little bit icy to Guerdy. I don't know if it's just me who felt it, but I could feel he was, in my opinion, I felt like Andy could have done a better job with Guerdy's segment. I'm gonna leave that there. So now everybody's on the stage and Adriana's trying to bring her dog, her emotional support dog, with her. Andy's like, sorry, production does not want your dog on stage because it's too much of a liability. So now we start things off with a tequila shot. Andy says that you guys are the first. It's the first reunion where we begin with a tequila shot. So they all take their shot. Now I think it was so funny how out of all the people to give the toast, Andy had Marisol give the toast. I said, now what does that say about you when they're all like, yeah, girl, when it comes to alcohol, you're the expert. So, he goes around greeting everybody, going to each person. Now, when he got to Kiki and he asked her about her buying the condo, he was like, are you living in a Shoma condo? And she was like, no, I'm living in another condo, but I had already made plans to purchase my first condo from Shoma. We all know that the Shoma group is Stephanie and her husband Masood's real estate development company. I was confused when she was like, yeah, I had no idea that it was her building until she joined the show. And then I was like, you better give me half price off of the condo. Kiki, respectfully, these jokes about always getting a freebie and always asking for discounts, it's wearing thin. And I'm sorry, girl, like, not to make it all about, this, but as one of you're the only two Black women on the cast, it's just not a good look to always be asking for a freebie. I said, girl, please. I'm not asking for a discount. I will gladly pay full price. And they were all looking at her like, really? That's not really how this works. I just said, Kiki, enough. If you come back next season, enough with these jokes about getting stuff for free. Please. It is wearing on me. Yes. Kiki has the same jokes on rotation. She does it either, she's either talking about vibrators or penises or getting naked or getting a discount or a freebie. Y'all have me screaming in the in the comments. Yes, it's very much so. It's very much like court jester. Absolutely. So now we have Andy. He goes on to ask Lisa if she has any plans on taking notes at this reunion. Lisa jokes and says, I always take notes. So now he's like, oh yeah, by the way, Lisa, you rang the bell. You rang the NASDAQ bell, the stock exchange. You rang the bell earlier for your company. We know that Lisa and Jody have an app together for helping people navigate divorce, or like helping people file for divorce, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. So then he said they all clap for her. And now Andy makes sure to bring up how Guerdy rang the NASDAQ bell a few months ago. Remember how Guerdy brought that up to Alexia, how nobody complimented her, nobody cheered for her when she did that. They finally clap for her now. I said, well, finally, it's about time. This was only like a year later, but I guess. So Guerdy says that it was amazing because it was for breast cancer. And now we have Andy ask Alexia, the last time he saw her on Watch What Happens Live, she said that her relationship with Todd changes daily. So he says, where are you guys now today at 11:35 a.m.? So Alexia says, we're not together. There's no contact. I haven't spoken to him. He's blocked on everything, social media, emails, like we don't talk. It's the only way to do it. The divorce is finalized. I said, thank God, because season 8, I don't want to hear Todd's name. I don't want to hear anything about a narcissist. I don't want to hear anything of the sort. So Alexia, let this be your last season speaking about this man because we don't care. So Alexia goes on to say that she never felt attached to Todd's last name, Nicola, and how she feels free now. She's taking back her power. We find out that in the past, when she would go to the reunions, he would pick a fight with her. He wouldn't talk to her. He would tell her all these women are not your friends. And so he would always ask her, why is she doing the show? So now Marisol jumps in and says, yeah, she would call me up and tell me how she would come home and he wouldn't speak to her for 2 days. I said, well, damn. I said, no, Todd, I want to hear more about that because what do you mean you're not talking to your wife for 2 days? Like, are you okay? So now we have Andy bringing up Todd's social media antics. Now, mind you, I checked out because you guys filmed this reunion so early. You filmed it before Todd blasted Alexia on his IG Live, saying how she was lying, saying how he was still funding her life. So if it's not that, if you're not talking about that live, then you can keep all this because you guys, again, filmed it way too early. So you missed out on the juicy stuff, in my opinion. So now Andy does ask, was that narcissist party about Todd? And Alexia does admit that, yes, it was about Todd. And Stephanie says, I knew it. So now we switch gears. The introductions are over. And now Andy says, Guerdy, the viewers love seeing you with Nicole this season. How often do you hang out? Guerdy says that we're set to see each other soon. So now Andy goes on to ask if Guerdy feels like her issues with Julia would have been different had Nicole been on the show this season. So, Guerdy came out, she came out swinging, like she came out hot. I said, okay, Guerdy, like I see you. Guerdy says, well, my issue with Julia would have been great had she picked up the phone and called me directly. I said, all right. I said, okay, Guerdy, like I'm here for this. Like, yes, come on, like, clock it, like I was here for it, like all right. Again, Guerdy started off strong, but she fizzled out later on. So Andy goes on to bring up one of the biggest moments, the biggest moment of this season, and he says one of the things that the viewers felt strongly about was the lack of reaction from everybody in the group when Julia tossed that water on Guerdy. Alexia jumps in and says, looking back on it, I wish I would have said something and done more. The way Julia disrespected Guerdy was not okay and it was not right. We were in so much shock at the moment, but it's no excuse that we did not stick up for Guerdy. Now, Alexia, this definitely proves that Guerdy's telling the truth. When Guerdy jumped into my DMs last week and said, no, whatever Alexia told you when you saw her at the party, that was a lie. We never, we did not say anything. She did not say anything to me. We never went out bowling. That's all a lie. Alexia was telling me, you guys, if you guys watched my live when I saw Alexia 2 months ago in August at the DirecTV party, Alexia was telling me how they had filmed a scene the day after this all happened at Alexia's nail salon beauty bar, and she was saying that, Julia was wrong and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden we don't hear anything about that, because if that really was the case, Alexia would have said that right here at this reunion. And she didn't say that. And it really, it just shows that Guerdy's telling the truth, that, girl, this never happened. She didn't speak to me when it happened, didn't hear anything from her. So whatever she told you was a lie. And again, Alexia, you confirmed that it was a lie because you never brought up the off-camera talks that you had with Guerdy, because it didn't happen. But I digress. Okay. So we have Larsa jumping in, and she says, you know what happened? We clearly didn't like what happened. Julia did not know that she was going to do that. Now, a quick side note. Somebody who's erratic and flies off the handle like that and is violent and has outbursts, they generally don't plan to do things like that, Larsa. So again, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. Julia is a hothead. Julia has no emotional regulation. So of course she didn't plan to do that. So now, and also whether somebody planned to be violent or didn't plan to be violent, the point is they're wrong. Julia had no right to do that, whether she planned that or not. Like, so what are we talking about here? I felt like all throughout Guerdy's segment, they were all trying to gaslight her like she was the one in the wrong. It was crazy. So now we have Larsa saying that it was a very reactive thing. I said, well, you think? Duh. Thank you, Captain Obvious. It was anybody who can do that is very reactive. Like, it's not rocket science. Like, obviously. So she says, well, we all got soaked. One thing about Larsa, I've noticed anytime somebody's trying to make a point about how they feel, Larsa always brings it back to herself. If you say, oh, you hurt my feelings, she's the queen of, well, you hurt my feelings too. She loves doing that. She's very tit for tat. You can never just say, hey, girl, what you did was wrong. Well, you're wrong too. You've done this. Like, she can never just own it. It's very aggravating. She has a very hard time just acknowledging when she's made a mistake. Like, girl, she needs some help. I'm serious. Yeah, she always turns it around. Oh, yeah, Larsa did not stop talking. She didn't. No wonder she keeps getting left. Larsa argues like a child. She does. Larsa cannot own her stuff. She doesn't. Larsa is the biggest narcissist. So now Guerdy goes on to ask, she says, well, Larsa, can you answer one thing for me? Can you just confirm that Julia did intend to throw that water towards me, though? Like, despite you all getting soaked, can we all just admit that the intention behind what she did was to harm me? Like, can we all just admit that, please? So Lisa even jumps in and says, yeah, it was directly towards Guerdy. And of course you have Alexia. Lisa, you weren't even there. I said, baby, it doesn't matter if somebody was there or not there. We all have two eyes and we see the footage. We saw the footage. That was directly aimed towards Guerdy. So I can't stand when Alexia does that. Alexia, it drives me nuts when you try to downplay what somebody's saying. It's so aggravating because, Alexia, you've gotten into it you fought other people's battles, like Marisol's battles, when there have been times that you haven't been somewhere, you didn't see what happened, and you still chimed in and gave your 2 cents. So let Lisa do the same thing. So now Larsa says, well, Guerdy, you didn't do anything when Adriana threw a whole glass at me. So they play the flashback. Remember when they were in the Bahamas and they had that shaman on the beach and Adriana and Larsa got into it? Now, Adriana faked like she was going to throw the glass at Larsa, but she didn't. So Larsa, it's like, Larsa, on top of you always making it about yourself, you have this tendency to exaggerate the details to make the other person look bad. I've noticed that about you. If just tell the truth. That did not happen. Adriana did not throw a glass at you. And then also, let's not forget, I remember that episode clearly. You got up in Adriana's face and you were like, girl, I wish you would. Like, I will, I'll beat you down. Like, you don't want this. You were talking tough, like you were going to beat Adriana's behind. So in that case, they felt like, well, there's no need for us to get involved because you had it. You were threatening Adriana with bodily harm. So for you to say, I was threatened. I got a glass thrown at me. You didn't get a glass thrown at you. That's not what happened. So you have. So Adriana even says, I did not throw a glass at you, Larsa. So now Andy goes on to ask Guerdy if she accepts Alexia's apology. So Guerdy says, this isn't an apology. So you have Alexia so shocked. She's like, oh my God, like what? Like, how is it not an apology? So Guerdy says, when I came on this show, when I came here to this reunion, I came on here to listen more than I speak. So now Andy, again, you can always tell when Andy does not see it for a housewife. He is very short. And I mean, I get it because naturally as human beings, if you don't really care too much for somebody, you are a bit shorter with that person than you would be with somebody that you actually like. You know what I'm saying? But like Andy, as the host, as the moderator, as the EP, you have to control it a little bit better than what you do because it's evident when you do not care for a housewife. Like you can't even pretend like you're neutral because when you were like, okay, so, she apologized to you though. So how do you feel about that? I said, damn. I said, when he does that to you, you know that he's already over it. I said, my God. So Alexia jumps in before Guerdy can speak. And Alexia says, look, Guerdy, I wish that I would have said something. I wish I would have done something in hindsight. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all allowed to. Listen, we all do make mistakes. We are all human. Nobody's perfect. We all offend people, whether intentionally, unintentionally, stuff happens, right? But I hate when folks do that. If you know that you did something wrong and you know that you hurt somebody by your actions, just own it. Like saying, well, we all do wrong. It's like, girl, can we stop? We all know that, but you hurt Guerdy's feelings by not having her back. Then just say that. Alexia is another one who has a really hard time owning up to stuff. It's always somebody else's fault, or production cut this out, or they chopped that out, so we didn't see that, or, well, we're all human. We all make mistakes. It's like, oh my gosh. That's all you could say. Yeah, that was not an apology. I agree. That was a non-apology. Yeah, baby, they have, I think Miami has one of the hardest times apologizing. It's like getting blood out of a turnip. Yes, you make mistakes, but own it and apologize genuinely or we're done. Exactly. How they treated Guerdy was pretty much wanting her to just get over it and move on. It was terrible. It was pretty terrible. Oh yeah, it was very much like, oh my gosh, you got your apology here. Damn, well, let's move on. And I was actually shocked that we got 15 to 20 minutes on this segment. I was surprised that we got that much. I thought they were going to trim it down to only like 5 or 7 minutes. So we have Alexia saying, this is not the first time this has happened in this group. You felt violated, but when Adriana threw the glass at Larsa, she felt violated and nobody did anything about it. When Kiki threw the juice box at Lisa, she also felt the same way. So we see the flashback, unseen footage of when they were on one of their trips. I think it was when they were in the Bahamas, the same trip. And Marisol and Julia got into it. And Julia was trying to throw an ice bucket at Marisol. We see the footage, right? Now, may I tell you something? Why are we bringing up past incidents that weren't even shown on camera? All of this happened for the most part. The thing with Adriana and Larsa, that was on camera, but the whole thing with Marisol and Julia, we didn't see that. So why are we bringing that up? And if you guys have decided to be friends with Julia, then it should be a moot point. You shouldn't care anymore. You guys have moved on. You guys are obviously good friends. They've met your boys. So why are we bringing up old stuff then? If you guys have moved on, it just felt like, well, you're not the only one. I was getting so aggravated. Like, what does this have to do with anything? If they chose to forgive Julia and let it go, then that's on them. Guerdy has every right to drag this out and be upset by it. Period. If you decide to move on fast, that's on you. If I decide to hold on to it and I want my apology, that's on me. I'm allowed to do that. You can't police how somebody else handles their trauma or handles somebody trying to assault them. They got over it in 2 days, cool, but Guerdy has not gotten over it yet, and that's her right too. Yes, Julia did look pathetic the entire time. The question is, why did Bravo hide Julia's past violent episodes? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Just wait. So we have Marisol saying, yeah, Guerdy, you didn't do anything when she threw the bucket at me. No, stop. First of all, Marisol, let me just stop you right now. You know good and damn well that nobody threw a bucket at you. She was trying to throw the bucket at you, but she didn't succeed. Kiki took it out of her hands. Stop it. Nobody threw an ice bucket at you, girl. If that had happened, you would have been in the hospital laid out somewhere. You would have had a concussion, had somebody bash an ice bucket over your head. Like, can we stop it? I hate how y'all will sit up there and lie. You know good and damn well nobody hit you upside the head with an ice bucket. I was so irritated. And also, if you were that pressed about it, then why are you friends with Julia now? Because just so we're clear, if you ever decide to put your hands on me, there's never going to be a friendship going forward. You better hope I don't have you in jail. And we talked about this in the last live. Because, honey, one thing about me, I will have you hemmed up, and I'll have all you. Don't play these games over here. Yeah, if someone hit Marisol, we wouldn't hear the end of it. Exactly. Marisol always wants to exaggerate details. Exactly. The gag is Alexia proved that Julia is violent and cannot control herself. Yes, she did. That's why it was so funny. I said, girl, you're sitting up here trying to gag Guerdy, but the whole time you're sitting up here outing Julia as a weirdo, as a violent weirdo. So what point were you really proving a mess? So we have Alexia says there's a history in this group and a pattern of people throwing things. When it happens to you, you don't like it. Alexia, are you okay? Are you well? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. When it happens to you, you don't like it. Well, that's any normal person. What are we talking? I'm trying my best to be respectful, but you're making it really hard. You really are. Because, girl, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Alexia this was the definition of his talking in circles. You're just saying a whole bunch of nothing. It's a bunch of word salad. So then she says, when it happens to you, you don't like it, and you get upset. You have every right to be upset, but so does everybody else when things happen to them. Nobody's saying that other people don't have the right to be upset when people try to come for them too in a violent manner. Right now, though, we are discussing what happened to Guerdy this season. Everything else with Julia, that happened off camera. And on top of that, they all got over it and they're all friends with Julia. So it doesn't make sense to rehash old issues that everybody has gotten past. Guerdy has not gotten past it. That's the difference between Guerdy and everybody else. Y'all moved on with Julia. Guerdy has not moved on with Julia. That's why she's so mad. Do you get that? Like, it's not clocking to you in the words of Justin Bieber? Like, I'm not understanding why you're purposely being obtuse, because what you're saying doesn't make any sense, Alexia. I said, honey, I was too done. Hey, the perfume preppy, thank you for the super chat. Only Black women are expected to empathize with their abusers. Just cancel Miami at this point. It's just aggravating. Like, I was so annoyed. They were really doing their big one to try and gaslight Guerdy like she was the one in the wrong. I could not believe it. But yeah, I do notice that Black women, especially on these shows, are expected to just, let it roll off of their back when they get hit upside their heads. I can't stand it. I don't want them to cancel Miami. I want them to, revamp the cast and just let's get some new faces in here. Oh, one more thing. I was surprised that Andy did not bring up Stephanie's comments on Watch What Happens Live, because she was saying that Guerdy needs to let it go and just, move on. I was very surprised that Andy did not ask Stephanie about that comment. But then again, why am I can't be too surprised though, because I'm sure Andy wasn't trying to talk about what happened with Guerdy anyway. So Andy turns to Kiki and he's like, Kiki, what's your take on this? Kiki, you might want to just stick to your stupid jokes because what you said made no sense. Kiki, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but girl, what are you talking about? You have Kiki saying, I thought me and Guerdy were good. That night, I did stand up for you. In that moment, I thought that's what I would want a friend to do for me. Then she says, this is where it gets tricky. I've been called a racist. Guerdy was like, girl, you're a racist? Like, what are you talking about? So Kiki says, the whole internet is saying that. Now, Kiki, can you please show the class where the whole entire internet is calling you a racist? Kiki, what you're saying makes absolute zero sense, and you know it. Nobody's calling you racist. Nobody called you a racist. All we're saying is it just looks bad that you don't have Guerdy's back. That's all people have been saying. That's it, and that's all. Nobody's calling you racist. So now Andy has to jump in, and Andy jumps in and he says, when you said in the press that her removing you made you look like the angry Black woman, that's what Kiki's referring to. So now Kiki's like, yeah, come on, Guerdy, I've been getting threats. I said, okay. I said, well, Kiki, I'm sorry that you're getting threats. You don't deserve threats at all. But nobody called you racist. And I think that you're trying to conflate several different points because you're mad that folks have been on you over your lack of support for Guerdy. That's what I think it is. So now Alexia says, well, what's happening, Guerdy, is the second half of the season, when we got to Spain, there was some kind of resolution between you and Julia. We were actually all getting along, having a good time. But then the show comes out, you go on a press tour, and then it's a social media, and then this whole social media war erupts. Why was it so important for you to go on social media? Now, every single reality star will tell you that when you get on reality TV, you live this 3 times. You live it while you're filming it, you live it when the show airs, and then you live it on reunion day. So if Guerdy was having a good time during the rest of the season, she was obviously doing that because she wasn't trying to bring the whole mood down all season long while filming. So obviously she just had to, put it on the back of her head. And let's be honest, if you don't get a real apology while filming, the whole group has been icing you out all the while you've been filming, you are going to have some lingering emotions when the show airs again and you see it all play out. And then you see what people are saying about you behind your back in the confessionals. Let's use our brains here, Alexia. Obviously, you're going to be mad about it all over again. That's normal. Like, I was so aggravated for Alexia to be sitting up here trying to get on Guerdy like Guerdy was wrong. Now I thought Guerdy ate just a little bit when she was like, well, can you give me some examples of how I took it to social media? So Alexia says, well, every single episode. And then she says, altogether, we don't think that it's right. So now you have Marisol, I have never seen it for you. And that's me putting it nicely. So you have Marisol saying, oh yeah, you are fanning the flames. I said, girl, shut up. Be happy that you're sitting on the couch in the first place, please. So now Guerdy's like, well, what exactly did I say on my social media? So Alexia says, you never acknowledged to the press that you actually were in a good place with Julia. I was happy that Andy did come to Guerdy's defense in this moment because he does say, well, maybe she was reacting to what was airing at the time. And again, when you're on reality television, you relive the same moments 3 times in a row while filming, when it's airing, and then at the reunion. So of course, those emotions resurface and you're mad about it all over again. What's not clicking? So Guerdy says, I do appreciate you saying what you said in the press recently to Alexia. I just wish that you would have done more. So now she says, and now we're going to play the footage of what happened after I got the water tossed on me. She says, nobody got me a towel. Nobody called security. So now you have Larsa interrupting. I said, Larsa was like, well, nobody got me a towel. When Adrian threw the glass at me, I said, Larsa, respectfully, it's not about you right now. It's not about you. And again, please let me know, where is this anger coming from towards Guerdy? Why are you like, Larsa was determined to be on Guerdy's ass in this first part. Like anytime Guerdy said something, you have Larsa clapping back, saying stuff under her breath. It was really bizarre. So now you have Guerdy saying that all she got from them was them verbally hazing her. So now they play the footage, the unseen footage. I think this was 11 minutes after the water was tossed on her. And Alexia and Larsa and them are bringing up Dr. Nicole. Do you know that Dr. Nicole really has these women pressed? Because why are they talking about her? She's not on the show anymore. Why is her name in your mouth? And also, they were like, yeah, Alexia, you see Alexia telling her, oh yeah, because we're bringing Nicole up because you're so disconnected from the rest of the group. What is it? First of all, Guerdy was already disconnected from the group even when Nicole was on the show. Y'all didn't check for Guerdy anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just so envious of the fact that Guerdy and Nicole have a real friendship. And it also plays into them being jealous of Dr. Nicole. Nobody can convince me otherwise that there's not jealousy there, because the way they did her for no reason will never make any sense to me. Yeah, it's too much unseen footage. Production is weird. They were jealous of Dr. Nicole. The moment they saw her, it's very weird. Oh, very much so. Andy says Nicole, he needs to say Dr. Nicole. I mean, I won't get on him too bad because sometimes I do that too. It's not intentionally. It's just, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I get it. I get it. They need to bring Dr. Nicole back at this point. They never wanted to be friends with Guerdy. No, I agree. They hate Dr. Nicole. Nicole is that girl and lives rent-free in their heads. Yes. So you have Andy asking Guerdy how she feels about their equivocation of other people getting things thrown on them compared to when she got the water tossed on her. So Guerdy says, well, there's context behind that. Nothing to do with that. So now Larsa is like, she never answers the question. I said, oh my gosh, Larsa. And you do? You go around and around as well. So stop. Just let her talk. She got assaulted for, like, it's annoying. Again, I'm just confused as to why you have so much smoke for Guerdy. Like, did she do something to you that we don't know about? So now Guerdy says that Julia is a three-peat offender. The fact that she tried it at Marisol's, which she forgets. And then Guerdy brings up Julia's outburst that we never saw at Dr. Nicole's Mamacita's luncheon. Now, I remember the drama that went on at that luncheon. Julia was on one, but we didn't see what really happened. They cut that out. So they play the unseen footage. And this was, I think, season 5? We see Julia screaming at the top of her lungs. She's smashing chairs. And Guerdy says that she was smashing the chair. She broke the chair. And it was so bad that Dr. Nicole had to pay for the damages. I said, I would have sent that bill right to Julia. How dare you? You're going to do this at my event? And you know what? Let me just say this for a minute. If this were who was smashing chairs, throwing chairs out the window, doing all this stuff, they would have played that. I think it's very weird, very strange, very, very bizarre how they're trying to protect Julia. Show the bad behavior the same way you would do for anybody else. Julia's out here being a complete embarrassment. And she looked crazy. She looked crazier than a soup sandwich, smashing that chair down like that. I was like, girl, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? She needs help. But when I was like, this is a mess. Yeah, Julia is a thug. She's very low class. Mind you, nothing discussed at that luncheon required smashing a chair. That lady's 60 years old and still can't control it. Yes. I would have sent that bill to Martina along with the footage. One word, Martina, because they want Scary Martina to stay on the show. I don't know. Because she's a tennis legend? Really? They're that enamored? I mean, okay, that's wonderful. That's great. But my goodness. So Guerdy says the third incident was when she threw the water at me, and she finally landed her moment on camera. Now, I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't. When Lisa interrupted and said, "Can we hear what Julia has to say now?" It was like, Lisa, why can't Guerdy speak? Like, why are you so pressed to hear Julia's side? I wasn't trying to hear anything from Julia other than I'm sorry and I'm going to be off of this show, because I just thought that was really weird. She was like, can we please hear what Julia has to say? I was like, girl, are you okay? Anna said on her podcast that the reason Julia was going off like that was because of something that involved Marisol. Yeah, Marisol, Julia's not even Julia is the villain they want Guerdy to be. Martina isn't even on the show like that. Exactly. Martina's not a cast member. So why do they care so much? Martina's not a real housewife. So again, the fact that they're gonna let Julia stay on with all her craziness, being so violent, smashing chairs and trying to hit people upside the head with an ice bucket because because of who she's married to, really? Child. Y'all's comments have me screaming. So now Guerdy interrupts, and she said, and no, Guerdy interrupts because she wants to talk again. And now Andy turns to Julia and he's asking Julia what made her throw the water that night. So Julia says, I understand that seeing that water toss brought back horrible memories to Guerdy, and I'm very sorry that was out of character. It was tequila induced, but that's no excuse. I'm so tired of folks blaming everything on alcohol. I really am. Whether you are drunk or sober, you did what you did. You said what you said. Just own it and apologize. I'm so tired of that. Well, it was the liquor. It was the tequila. It was the Henny. Like, I don't want to hear that. I don't care if it's Casamigos. Don Julio. I don't want to hear that. I don't care. It's not an excuse. So she says, nothing I ever do is planned or rehearsed. And Guerdy says, well, that's scary. So now Larsa's like, let her finish. I said, Larsa, shut up. Shut up. Every time Guerdy said something, there you are running off at the mouth. Be quiet. Guerdy has every right. If Guerdy wants to tag that behind every chance she gets, she has the right to do so because of what Julia did to her on national TV. So Julia says again, I'm incredibly sorry. I want to say it one more time. I mean it. So now Andy's like, well, let's move on. So Andy brings up the text messages at Guerdy's Celebration of Life event. And Andy says the biggest issue that the viewers had was all of you guys had more outrage for Guerdy showing the messages versus your response when Julia threw the water. What's the difference? So Marisol said, so now Marisol's whole response to this made no sense because when she said, well, no, I pulled Julia to the side and I was really mad at her for what she did. Baby, that's not the question that Andy asked. Andy asked you guys. He asked the group. Why did y'all have more smoke for Guerdy in those text messages versus Julia throwing that water onto Guerdy? Like, just answer the question. Just answer about how hypocritical it was, and you guys owe her an apology. You bringing up how you actually were mad at Julia and you pulled her to the side and you went to the bathroom with her and you say, girl, don't do that again. Why would you do that? That's not, we're not talking about that. And the time to say that was 5 minutes ago, not now. And I was annoyed that Andy did not press the group about why was there more outrage for the text messages over her being assaulted. Yeah, they don't have a valid reason. Yes, Marisol was deflecting. Absolutely. Absolutely. Marisol was doing Julia's bidding. This alliance is so obvious. They didn't even read the text messages. Exactly. They don't have the balls to be honest, like Giselle, and just say they don't like her. Exactly. They call out people immediately for the smallest things all the time. They couldn't even answer the question properly, and that's how you know they were very wrong for that. Exactly. So now we do see the unseen footage of Marisol pulling her to the side and saying, don't do that again. And Julia's weeping over how, she was sorry about it and she wasn't trying to make a show. So Marisol says, neither one of them are right to me. Marisol, so there's so much I want to say. There is so much I want to say, but again, I'm respectful, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But it's just how pathetic for you to say that they're both in the wrong. Like you are a really sad person to say that. You know that there's a clear victim and there's a clear villain. Julia, despite her being your friend, was wrong. That's it. That's all. Why are we playing these bald-headed reindeer games about, well, they both were wrong, nobody's right to me? Shut up. So Guerdy says, well, I'm so happy you guys are saying it behind the scenes about Julia was wrong, but I would have loved if you guys would have said it in front of my face. Guerdy says, I never saw that with me present. So Larsa says that's not true. So now we see the unseen footage from 2 minutes after the water toss. And I will say we do see that Larsa was getting on Julia about not throwing water at anybody. And Guerdy does thank Larsa for saying that. So Guerdy says actions speak volumes and your inaction speaks volumes too. So now Alexia says, well, last season, Guerdy, you had the same situation last season with Larsa. So Guerdy's like, girl, we're not talking about last season. So now Alexia starts yelling at her, said, Guerdy, don't tell me what to say. Don't tell me what to talk about. We let you speak. Be respectful to us. Again, Alexia, take that bass out of your voice. Guerdy was calm when she said what she said. You take it down 5 notches. Take it down 5 notches. I was just like, girl, who are you talking to? Who are you speaking to like this? Like, girl, what are you feeling like right now? Because again, like, what is going on? It's not even the same. Marisol and Julia got to go. I can't stand friends who don't keep it real with each other. That is how I know Marisol just sees Julia as an alliance. Exactly. You said Alexia is a liar. She knew she did all this and told you she had Guerdy's back. Honey, a mess. Alexia does not even speak to Todd like that. You see that? You notice, you see how that goes. All this smoke for another woman, but real nervous when around a man. A mess. So Larsa says that she sent Guerdy text messages and flowers, and Guerdy never responded back to her. So Alexia says that she is agreeing with Guerdy. So Guerdy says, you see that? You see how they're ready to publicly shame me? So they're like, girl, nobody's trying to public shame you. So Guerdy, unfortunately, I have to whack you a few good times because here's where you lost, in my opinion. This was your moment to shine, to put it all to bed that Julia had lied on you, and you failed to do so. And again, it's paining me. It is paining me so hard to say what I'm about to say. When Andy asked you, what did the text messages prove? Guerdy went around and around the mulberry bush. I said, and people say that Dorit is long-winded. I think that Guerdy might have Dorit beat. I said, Guerdy, please land the plane. I said, Guerdy, if you don't get to the point, Guerdy, he asked you a simple question. He asked you, what do the text messages prove? All you had to say was they proved that Julia was the one who invited me on the cruise and that I was not the one who begged her. Period. The end. You would have won. Guerdy, you blew it. Guerdy, this was like having, like in football, like you had the ball in your hand and you fumbled the ball. I don't know football terms like that, but this was like missing the 3-point shot when you have 2 seconds left on the clock and you're down 2 points. Like this was such a fumble of epic proportions. I said, Guerdy, I was ready to turn the TV off. So Guerdy's like, nobody wanted to listen to me, Andy. This was after multiple attempts of saying, hey guys, it's not true. So Andy is so sick of it. He's like, Guerdy, I'm going to ask you again. What did the text messages prove? Just answer the question. What did they prove? Child, you have Guerdy going on and on and on. Guerdy was giving us the color purple all my life. I had to fight soliloquy. I said, Guerdy, answer the question right now. Just say the details of what happened. So you have Adriana whispering to Guerdy, and she's like, Guerdy, just tell them the details. Just say that she invited you onto the cruise. Just say that. Just say that you didn't beg her. She invited you. That's all you have to say. So Guerdy's like, Guerdy says, it gets to a point where people aren't listening and you feel unseen. I said, Guerdy, nobody wants to hear about your sob stories of being the odd person out. Just get to the point. Honey, Guerdy, girl, I was screaming at the TV. I said, my God. I said, Guerdy, you blew it. Andy was so frustrated with you. Andy was so annoyed. You think that she was overwhelmed. You could tell that Guerdy was nervous. Baby, listen, I get that she was nervous, but this is not her first rodeo. This was her fourth reunion. She knows what it is. Guerdy, if Guerdy has a hard time articulating herself, she should have written down her points, brought a piece of paper, put it in her, put it in the boob area, taken it out and read her points. So that way she would have had a guide on what to say. I just feel like if you're not the best at expressing yourself and getting the words out, write some notes down that will help you in the argument, especially when you know that you're in the right. Listen, y'all, I felt so bad for Guerdy. I was too done. So Adriana whispers again, like Adriana's like, girl, just make the point, reiterate the point, like that. Tell the details in the text messages. So Guerdy like dismisses Adriana. I said, Guerdy, you don't know it all, and that's okay. Don't dismiss Adriana. She's helping you. She's telling you the right thing to do. Why are you getting annoyed with somebody who's actually in your corner giving you great advice? So, Guerdy goes on to say that, they're in a clique and it doesn't even matter at this point to even tell the details. I said, all right. I said, all right, Guerdy. Listen, y'all, I felt defeated watching Guerdy because Guerdy completely lost the whole entire plot. So Andy's like, look, Julia has apologized to you 5 times now on camera. Where do you go from here? So Guerdy says, well, I think that we need to come to a place now where I wish that she would have come to me at the premiere party. I said, Guerdy, I understand that you were hurt, rightfully so. I understand that you're still angry. I get that. I totally understand. You have every right to be angry. But Andy asked you a simple question. Where do y'all go from here? Bringing up the premiere party and what you wish that she would have done. I said, Guerdy, just answer the question. Is there hope for you and Julia? Yes or no? Guerdy, respectfully, if you're going to stay on this show, I'm going to need you to, as the elders would say, make it plain. Speak plainly. All of these talking around and around the mulberry bush, baby, get to the point. There's a time and a place for that. There's a time to go the scenic route, telling a story, and there's a time to just get to it. We don't have time for, well, it was 72 degrees outside, and I was wearing a blue shirt, and we don't have time for that, baby. Tell us what happened in 30 seconds or less. And Guerdy was being, she did what she could. I understand. Guerdy should have prepared better for the reunion, asked for Adriana's help. I agree. Don't whack me, but I want Guerdy off the show. I hate seeing her struggling like this and hate seeing her trying to relate with a group of women who don't like her. No, I'm not going to whack you. I get that sentiment. I was saying that earlier this season too, that it might be beneficial for her to leave the show because it's not fun to be ganged up on like this. Yes, honey, clear and concise. Guerdy was beyond the cruise. She was trying to point out the maliciousness and intent behind what Julie was trying to do and how nobody cared about the truth at all anyway. I get that. I totally get that. But in this moment, just for your own sanity, I just have to clear y'all with the truth. You get what I'm saying? And that's the thing. If Guerdy is this exhausted, if she's this tired, then maybe this needs to be her last season. And that's not me being mean, but I'm serious. Like, if this really takes the wind out of you where you run out of steam at the reunion, then maybe it's time to bow out. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Because it's a lot to the system. And Guerdy was on that couch looking defeated. Yes, she does not take advice in the moment. That's her issue. No, that's one of her biggest critiques, in my opinion. I feel that way too. Because the way she got mad at Adriana, I said, girl, somebody's trying to help you. And Guerdy feels like Guerdy acts like she knows it all. And I'm like, Guerdy, just take advice. Take advice from somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. She should leave with her dignity intact, like our sound Dr. Nicole. When she told Adriana it's not about the details and nobody will listen, girl, the reunion is a place to force them to listen. Exactly. So now, Andy interrupts her again. He was so over her. He was like, again, where do we go from here tonight? So Guerdy goes on to ask, where is she today? And Julia says, well, I'm in front of you. I've apologized 6 times now. I will do anything for you to feel it because I mean it. So now Guerdy's like, well, why didn't you call me before you went on Watch What Happens Live? And now Julia turns it around on her and says, but Guerdy, you know, I didn't call you because my children were under attack. My little boys are under attack. And you could have been a good friend to me and have called me to stop the hate. You just attacked this woman. You think she gives a damn about what you're going through in your house? You think she cares about what's going on with you? And I was like, girl, you have me all the way effed up. I was too dumb when she said that. Well, I was like, wait, what? She's really going to sit up here and turn this around on Guerdy? Like, I was shocked. So now, Julia goes on to say that on top of that, Guerdy went online to shame them for changing the boys' names. And she said, that was our personal choice. We got attacked for that. So Guerdy says, that's not true. I never shamed you for naming your children. So now Andy jumps in and says, well, actually, yes, you did. It was on Instagram. You made a comment. I said, Andy let it be known that he's on Julia's side. I said, all right. I said, okay. Andy was like, you know, well, no, he said, no, sis, actually you did. I said, well, damn. All right. So I was like, Guerdy, that's how you know that Andy's like, oh, he's over you. So now you have Larsa jumping in saying, well, kids are off limits. We don't talk about each other's kids. Larsa, shut up, because I'm sorry, Larsa, the way you act, the way you get gutter, I could see you. I'm not trying to be funny, but Larsa's one of those people where you can't do it to her or her friends, but she'll do it to you. So I said, girl, stop. Please. So now, Julie, again, Larsa, anything that Guerdy said, Larsa was on her behind. So now, Julie goes on to ask Guerdy, how can they move forward? Guerdy says, I didn't start this fight. Can you at least admit that it's not about the cruise at all? So Julia says, it's not about the cruise. So Guerdy says, you saw an opportunity. Julia denies it. She says, I just want to move forward. We haven't seen each other in over 8 months. What can I do? Get on my knees to ask you to beg for your forgiveness? So Guerdy says, you call me a psychopath and fake. Julia apologizes for that. She says, I'm very sorry that I used those words and I hurt you. What can I do to make it better? I do want to move forward. So now you have Adriana jump in once again to help Guerdy out, and Guerdy dismisses Adriana again. I said, Adriana, let this be a sign. Stop trying to help Guerdy. Let Guerdy sink on her own. Guerdy thinks that she knows everything. Then stop trying to help her, because you've helped her now 3 times and she's brushed you off 3 times. So again, stop. So now Guerdy says, I'm not putting Band-Aids and walking away. So now you have Larsa jumping in once again. She's like, what do you want her to do? She's already apologized 10 times. I don't care if Julia's apologized 20 times. This woman threw a drink at her. Who are you to tell Guerdy to get over it? Oh, she's apologized 10 times. Get over it already. Girl, shut up. Because Larsa, we wouldn't hear the end of it if somebody had done that to you. So now Andy interrupts and he says, it's apparent that the two of you are not going to solve this tonight. It's complicated. It's deep. A long conversation needs to be had off camera. If you're interested, we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it there. So now we see that, it's time for a quick break to use the restroom, touch up their makeup. And we see Adriana still trying to give Guerdy advice, and Guerdy's still brushing her off. And I was getting more and more annoyed by that. I said, again, Adriana, you've tried to help her now 3 times, and she's rebuffed your advances. So just leave it alone. If Guerdy thinks that she knows best, then let her think that she knows best. So now we do see Guerdy and Adriana bickering off camera. And I thought it was interesting because you have Adriana still telling her, like, girl, all you had to do was just tell the group, like, okay, sorry about that. Like, all you have to do is just tell the group, like, the details. That's all they wanted to know. Like, that would have helped you. And Guerdy's still saying, no, no, no. So now we're back. Everybody's back on stage. And it's Stephanie's segment. Andy says, we got a lot of comments about the way you flaunt your wealth. Stephanie says, let me explain to you something. When a football player wins the Super Bowl, they wear the Super Bowl ring. It's a symbol of hard work. Stephanie, somebody winning a Super Bowl ring or a basketball ring because they won the NBA finals, that's a bit different than you flaunting your wealth and just saying outright that you have a plane and all this stuff. Like, I don't know why that's so hard to just say, you know what, maybe I do, and it is what it is. But like the analogy, the comparison didn't really land because it's a bit different. Like when if a football player has won a Super Bowl ring, they're not saying, hey, I won the ring. They're just wearing the ring. And it speaks for itself. You don't actually have to say it. Like, you get what I'm saying, but I digress. Y'all have me screaming. So now, like if you wear something designer, you don't have to say it. People will see it, like it's ridiculous to say, oh yeah, I'm wearing this, or I have this on, people see it. It's just, I don't know what we're doing here. Why is this so hard? Yeah, I forgot that Stephanie was there too at one point. So now Andy says, you came in so confidently. Is there anything that you've learned after watching yourself back on the show? Stephanie says that she does realize that her tone is harsh, but it's not what she means. She says, Andy, I work in a male-dominated world. You don't get that far if you're soft-spoken and quiet. And she's right about that. So she says, but I'm learning with friends that you can't always be so transactional. She says that her heart is really pure. She loves deep, but doesn't always express it. So now Andy goes on to say that Alexia and Marisol called you bossy. What kind of boss do you think that she would be? Marisol says a demanding one, and that's a good thing. Now Andy reading the Reddit thread about how Stephanie is an alleged side chick, or she was an alleged side chick. Stephanie, she was hired by his wife, the ex-wife, to be his Masood's assistant. Stephanie says, let me clear that up. That's gotten so much traction. Stephanie debunks the whole entire thing. She says that, let me be very clear, I've never met his ex-wife, not a photo, not an email exchange, nothing, never worked for her. I was never his assistant. She says that, and Masood was separated for 8 years before she even met him. So now Andy's like, oh, have you ever met the ex-wife? Stephanie says no. So Adriana jumps in and says, well, actually, that's not true. We recently met her while we were out at lunch. So Stephanie's like, well, no, we didn't meet her. We saw her. So Adriana says, yeah, we saw her. She was sitting across from us at the other table, and Stephanie froze. She was like, oh my gosh, Masood's wife is here. I said, wait, do you notice how Adriana has always been a pro at that subtle shade. She knew what she was doing. That was not a slip of the tongue. Adriana did that on purpose. Adriana is good and petty. She'll give you that good nasty read you didn't even know. Because I was like, girl, you know good and well that Stephanie is very insecure about that. Why would you say his wife is here? I said, all right, girl. Now, hearing that Stephanie froze when she saw the ex-wife and she was like, block me. I don't want to see her. I don't want her to see me. May I say something? For all my subscribers, for all my subscribers who are remarried or you married a divorced man, right? Doesn't the ex-spouse and the new spouse, don't they usually meet? I find that weird that they've been married for 8 years. She's never met the ex-wife, and Masood has children. So what happens when they have graduations or birthday parties or holiday time? Like, I find it to be really strange that you never met the ex-wife. Is that I'm confused. Again, anybody, all my divorce subscribers, or if you married a man who's divorced, did you met the ex-wife, correct? Or you met the ex-husband? Let me know. They're definitely aware of each other. I wouldn't have hidden. Yeah, it's weird. I think she's lying. There's no reason for them to meet if the children are grown. I have a stepmom and a stepdad. If you have kids, you 100% are part of their lives in some capacity. But you still see them though. If the kids have a celebration, like let's say the kids have a birthday party and they want everybody there, or if the kids have a baby, right? Everybody would be there. I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. No. I wouldn't be hiding, that's for sure. Yeah, and on top of that, I felt like it's some insecure. I don't know. I feel like she was insecure because I'm saying I wouldn't feel a way if I saw the ex-wife. I would say, hello, how are you? It's nice to finally meet you. Like, I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. Stephanie seems kind of insecure sometimes. I don't know. It's just all very strange. Why hide for the ex? Is she scared? You said she's lying. They say he's a deadbeat dad. Did they get together via cheating? Hiding seems like you're guilty. Nope, never met the ex. Are the kids grown? Y'all are saying that they're grown. Oh, he's estranged from the kids. Geez, his kids don't talk to him. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm like, they both live in Miami. They must have crossed paths at functions and events. Yeah, Miami's not that big. I wouldn't hide for Ish. Yeah, same here. The kids never want a stepmother. No, if the kids are grown, you do that stuff separately. So the kids haven't met her either? Is that what it is too? The reaction gives that she took that man. The question is Masood in a good place with the ex? Yeah, that was my first thought too. Yes, she's insecure and knows she's lying. It's her guilty conscience. Oh, they said that he took money from the trust, allegedly. His daughters do not speak to him. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised though, because I'm sure the ex-wife got a nice settlement. So I'm sure they don't run into each other at Bal Harbor or the Miami Design District. They don't see each other out on South Beach. Like, I'm kind of confused that they never run into each other. I don't know. Never met the husband's ex, but I'm not hiding if we wind up in the same place. Okay, thank you for well, that's good to know. Thank you. Well, I mean, I'm just curious because I thought it was strange, Bad divorce, probably. I would say hello. It's not that deep. Yeah, I think I would. Some of these men have no backbone and let insecure, controlling women rule them. She's insecure and he's a trash bag. Well, tell me how you really feel. Girl, you know my town. Oh, yes, honey. I've been to Miami. Oh, I love Miami. Me and Miami. I love Miami. Oh, absolutely. Oh, okay. They're suing for spending the trust fund. The new spouse will meet the new ex-spouse at some point if there's any type of family celebration or a funeral. Yeah. Hey, Queen K, thank you for the super chat. I think that Stephanie doesn't want to mention the ex-wife since the ex-wife and daughters are suing for defamation. Oh, okay. That makes sense. His ex's family got the business started. You're the mother of my husband's children. I would at least say hello and acknowledge your presence. Yeah, same here. Maybe he removed the kids from his will and put Stephanie. Child. I heard it was her family's money. Well, if that's the case, I can see why Stephanie's hiding out. I was picturing Stephanie hiding underneath the table, shaking like in the cartoons. So now Andy goes on to ask if she's made any progress with her sisters. Stephanie says, I'm no piece of cake. I'm difficult too. I've tried, but me and my sister speak different languages. It's hard. Not a lot of progress, but she has emailed them. So now Andy goes on to ask if they've watched the show, and Stephanie says, well, I hope they have, because it'll show them that she has problems with her friends and it's not just them. So Andy goes on to ask, what was the biggest surprise you took away from this season? And she says, I had no idea how much I would love each one of these women. So now is Lisa's segment. Andy jokes around about Jody. He says, was Jody talking about me when he was asking for AC? And Lisa was like, oh yeah, we're always talking about you, Andy. No, I still think that Jody was talking about I know Lisa and Jody got on Instagram saying, oh no, that was not what it was. And Jody said, well, even if it was that, who cares? I'm an adult. So we're going to leave that there. You said, and this was worth first chair. Okay, exactly. I thought on the last show, she said she talked to one of the sisters. Yeah, I thought so too. In the finale, they said that she had talked to one of the sisters. So now all of a sudden it's no, now she sent an email. Who knows? Who knows? Yes, exactly. Like, it's not, if it was that, which I still think it was, those are my exact thoughts. So Andy's asking Lisa if she listened to what Jody told her about controlling the chaos in her life. Lisa says, yes, I have a therapist and it's been helpful for me and it's been helpful with my time management. I don't want anybody to be waiting on me. And so Andy says, well, it took a lot of years for you to come to that realization that you're always late. So now Lisa says, well, I don't calculate my time properly and I'm working on it. I take full accountability. Again, I'm not going to harp on the whole lateness thing with Lisa. I've beaten that to death. I don't care anymore. And Lisa, I'm glad that you are seeing how inconsiderate it is to be late all the time. And I'm happy that you're working on it and taking ownership. So kudos to you. Andy brings up Alexia's narcissist party where she was 2 hours late. We've talked about that ad nauseum. So now Andy goes on to ask, how has she changed this season? What has she learned about herself? Lisa says that she's different compared to 3 years ago. It's been night and day. She says when this happened to her, when the divorce happened, the breaking up of her family, it shook her to her core. And she says she's learned to cope. She's more calm and centered. And they all say that they've noticed Lisa's growth. And that's a good thing. We love to see people taking control of their lives and not wallowing in self-pity and taking ownership. So good for Lisa. Andy does ask if there have been any more talks between her and Jody about marriage. She says, well, there have been many talks, and then she flashes her hands and they're like, wait, girl, are you engaged? And she says she wants to be. She's putting it out there. So now Andy congratulates her on finalizing her divorce. He goes on to ask, how is co-parenting with Lenny going? And Lisa says that as of today, it's not going well. Are we surprised? It's Lenny. Andy reads Martina's statement. A few months ago on Twitter, Martina was bashing surrogacy. And he wants to know what Lisa's reaction was because Lisa had both of her kids via a surrogate. So Lisa says that I was shocked. I couldn't believe Martina. I was like, is this a joke? So Julia's like, well, Martina took the comment down. We had numerous conversations about it. I disagree with her 100% for that. And I was surprised that Andy did not get on her more about Martina's comment, considering that Andy also had, so it's like it had his kids via a surrogate. So it's like I was shocked that Andy let Julia and Martina off the hook for that comment. You know what I'm saying? I was very surprised about that because Martina low-key bashed him. It's just, yeah, no, it's true. Andy did not whack her at all. It's true. But the fact that Andy brought it up shows that, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it did show that he was offended by it. That's true. I'm shocked that he even brought it up considering Martina is his BFF. Julia is selling Martina for the next shiny object, Alexia and Marisol. The way Julia will throw Martina under the bus. Honey, Andy let Julia off so easy. Andy let her off the hook because of her celebrity status. So now Andy brings up, we're getting close to we're at the tail end of this first part. Andy brings up how Julia asked her friend Derek to be the godfather of her boys in Marbella. So Andy's like, Julia, was Adriana ever in the running to be the godmother? And Julia says, no, she was not. Julia, I've whacked you several times for the social climber that you are, but this is a new low. Adriana was your best friend for a decade. And when Adriana said, wow, that's like a dagger to my heart. And then Guerdy jumps in and says, didn't she write 2 character letters for you to get the boys? Adriana says, exactly. They needed somebody to vouch for them, and I did it twice. Julia, the fact that you look so stupid on that couch, there is no way that I'm going through the adoption process. I asked my best friend of 10 years to write character letters for me and my spouse to adopt the children. And then you turn around and insult me like this and say that I was never in the running to be the godmother. Julia, this was so unforgivable. That it just shows your character is so low. You have no regard for people. The way you discard folks is so pathetic to me. How you're gonna sit up there and do this? This was a good friend to you. This is somebody who really loved you. And for you to say, well, I never wanted her to be the godmother. Are you, baby? Social climber is not even the word. Listen. Is she used Adriana for the reference? Exactly. She'd never cared. I'm not watching if Julia comes back, plain and simple. At least tell the lady before it gets to TV. Julia, she is a user. She is a user. I said, wow. I said, Adriana, I felt for you, Adriana. That's horrible. That's nasty work. So, and this is why folks don't like to help people now, because you'll have somebody turn around and pretty much spit on you like you never did anything for them. You owe Adriana a lot. And for you to sit up here and do this to her is shameful, Julie. Just disgusting. So now Adriana says, well, I asked you to be the godmother of my dog, Basquiat. And they're like, girl, stop. Andy was like, do dogs even have godmothers? So now we wrap this first part up with Andy bringing up Adriana and Julia's friendship. So they play the montage. We see them during happier times when Julia proposed friendship to Adriana. And Andy says, it seems like Alexia and Marisol's friendship with Julia was the catalyst for the division of your friendship. So Julia's like, Andy, can I say something? Can I say something real quick for some clarity? So Adriana's like, well, let me answer first. So Adriana says, when Julia became friends with Alexia, I was fine with it. But when she got with Marisol, that's when Julia transformed herself. She took a dive into the dark side. So Marisol's like, stop blaming me for everything. Take responsibility. I said, girl, shut up, Marisol. So, honey, we close out this first part when I tell you I haven't been this gagged in a long time. Julia says, may I say something? This will provide clarity to why me and Adriana are where we are. In the Hamptons, Adriana and I slept together. Everybody is like, wait, come again? And that's where the first part ends. I said, my God. Now, remember in the last Miami recap, I was throwing out the theories about how somebody on Reddit had said that it was the bombshell was Julia and Adriana hooked up. Well, honey, the person on Reddit was correct. Listen, let me give you guys my 2 cents quickly. I'm torn on this news. Half of me can see it. The other half of me doesn't believe it. But either way, if this is true, Julia, you are a loser for this. To sit up here and spray your business out here like that, to out Adriana, some things need to just be, we did this, whether we remain friends, remain in a relationship, this goes to the grave between us. It's like the fact that Julia would do this, it just gave, you're grasping at straws to hold on to this show, because why would you do that? And yes, and think about it. If this did happen in the Hamptons, that was in season 4, then that means that this happened during her marriage to Martina. And we see in the upcoming episode for part 2, we see the trailer and you see Julia saying that her and Martina were in a rocky place when it happened, and her and Adriana had sex a few more times at the Versace mansion. So I'm like, either way, though, you're a clown. You're a clown to sit up here and speak on past sexual, like, you don't do this. And that's not right. And that's real nasty work for you to do that. Like, okay, even if y'all did, it's nobody's business. It was very desperate. I believe it, but if she's lying, she's to be fired. Are Martina and Julia open? I think that Martina is happy to have somebody, and Julia is there for the check. Julie, I think I would not be surprised if they were open. And when Martina outed her for having threesomes in the past, I always got the impression that Martina was not involved in said threesomes. Maybe she was watching, but that's another story for another day. That's another topic, another video for another day. They have an arrangement. I agree. Either way, to do it to your wife, and your wife is in chemo, like what? Child, true or not, it's awful. She lied if it's not true, and more people are affected by her outing this. She's married with kids. Adriana is a mom. Julia's really laying it low and spreading it wide. That 75-year-old loves popping her cootie cat all over. I'm not surprised if it is true. However, it was diabolical for Julia to disclose this. I agree. So she was really getting a facelift, and she went to Paris because nothing is lifted. Was she messing with somebody else? Honey, you said you're not watching, honey. You said not watching, honey. She watched like Gordon. Y'all have me screaming. 1, Julia is outing her own infidelity. 2, is Adriana publicly out? If not, she's outing someone, which is wrong. Yeah, no, she's out of line for that. She's out of line for that. A lot of subscribers, a lot of Twitter mutuals who are LGBT, they were saying that Julia's wrong. You don't do this. You don't do this. And Julia, see, this is why they always say you can't do certain things with certain people because they will out you for anything. It's just like, if Adriana had known better, she should have made her sign an NDA that you don't talk about this until we're both in the grave. Yeah, Julia is wrong. I disagree respectfully. I think Julia is trying to say Adriana's behavior changed after they slept together, and that's the cause for her acting different, not Alexia and Marisol. Oh, I didn't think about that. I did not think about that. Oh, listen, that could be a point. I did not think about that whatsoever. Okay, so I want to get your opinion though with this. I want to get y'all's opinion. What do you think? Wait, I should have kept your comment up. That's a really good point. That is a really good point. What do y'all think? I think Julia was giving the true nature of why the relationship changed. I can believe it, especially how they were kissing on each other in previous seasons. It doesn't make sense. I figured that's where she was going with it, but still, maybe that's it. No, that happened years ago. That just blew my mind. This reunion shows that Julia is a violent, scary woman. Marisol and Alexia better watch out. She's going to be in their beds and spill their secrets. You said, girl, no, Julia's a weirdo on leveraging the sexual relationship to gain sympathy from the group. That was season 4, and this is now. Wait, you said it's giving what Nene said. Let's talk about what's now. Let's talk about what's now. I don't understand the point Julia was trying to make with her confession. Deflect, deflect, deflect. Think about what this news will do to their newly adopted kids. Julia also said that Adriana was trying to blackmail her with that info. Oh, so Julia's saying it was that good? Yeah, honey. She said, let me let me just move on. Let me move on. After the reference letter and being denied, I could see it. I wouldn't trust Julia like she will spill anyone's tea at this point. Julia licking bottoms to stay on top. But it was years ago. That's true too. Yes, honey. Don't tell me what has been. Tell me what's now. Exactly. Both. Julia said she had to double back, honey. Honestly, though, it makes no sense. Julia started pivoting from around season 6. Anything to say on the show, I guess, very classless. You guys are so funny. Oh, that's very true. I don't believe Julia at all. She just lied on Guerdy. She's a liar. Outside of production cameras or Adriana having camera proof, it'll be her word against Julia's. That's true too. I mean, you're right. Either way, it just makes Julia look even worse. You sleep with a woman, ask her to write a letter for adoption, and then discard her. Very true. Y'all have me screaming. Yes, honey. You said they were bumping pocketbooks and losing change. Shout out to Alexander Rogers for that one. Oh my gosh. I could not wait to talk to y'all about the last 3 minutes of this episode. Julie just wants to make sure she stays on the show. I agree with that. And I do feel like it's already bad enough to try and share what you did in the bed, like try to out how you and somebody had sex, right? But like usually when folks do that in real life or on these shows, they usually do it in the same time frame where it happened. Like if you guys slept together 6 months ago, you'll say it within that window of time. To wait 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, that's really desperate to me. I feel like if you're going to be so pathetic to out, to talk about what you guys did with somebody in the bed, let it be let it be a real bombshell. It's like, yeah, girl, we just did it last week, actually, versus you sitting on this for 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. Yes, to bring up old tea from season 4 is pathetic. I agree. It's very tacky. Julia outed herself cheating on Martina. Adriana's face tells another story. I believe they fooled around. That must have been a low point for Adriana. No, I agree. No, because Adriana's face did look like, wait, like, girl, you're really going there? Again, like I said, I'm torn. Part of me I'm 50-50 on it. It's a 50-50 split. Part of me, half of me believes that Julia's telling the truth. And then there's part of that half of me, the other half of me feels like she's lying. But you're right, I did clock Adriana's face. It was like, oh my gosh, like she's telling them, like I can't believe she would tell them like our business. I agree. I don't know if it's true or not. It really gives last ditch attempt. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She's putting every stunt in the Housewife book, alienated children, physical altercation, infidelity, outing another housewife. Oh yeah, honey. Adriana said, oh no, Julia said, what can I do to stay on the show? Season 8. All right, check. Assaulted somebody, check. Cheated, check. Outing an affair that I have with another housewife, check. Yeah, I agree. Like, say we just left the hotel together last night. Like, don't give me, if you're gonna give me some tea, give it to me. Give me some like hot, fresh off the press. It's shocking. No one has any ethics or moral foundation on these shows. Gretchen just waited 20 plus years to out Tamara and the 98 degrees dude. Yeah, Adriana's face literally tightened from shock. Adriana's very lonely, so Julia could have comforted her. Yeah, no, I could see it. And who knows, Adriana could have been experimenting. Doesn't mean she's interested in women. Yeah, I just feel like it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business. And, you know, they're both good and grown. Julia should feel ashamed of herself to try to embarrass somebody or try. I mean, she shouldn't, she should feel embarrassed to try to embarrass her former friend. You know, some stuff just stays between you two. Whether you guys remain friends or fall out, that should have stayed between them. That was their secret to take to the grave, and it is what it is. Adriana's face looked like, why are we bringing this up now? Exactly. Maybe Adriana forgot. the woman was too stunned to speak. You know? Y'all need to stop. You guys are so funny. But Brooke, think about how much she sat on that cruise, her waiting 4 years, it tracks. No, that's a good point. Something probably happened in the Hamptons, but they didn't fully consummate their friendship that trip. Now I gotta look back at season 4 to see some different interactions. Julia's telling the truth on this one. Adriana's probably a pillow princess and Julia got her. Why do I feel like Marisol had something to do with that lie? The same way she helped Adriana watch Julia's heavy breathing. She was going back and forth in her mind. Yeah, she was definitely thinking like, okay, should I do this? Am I really going to do this? Am I doing this? Like, yeah, no, she was nervous to even tell. She was like, Andy, can I say something? Can I say something, please, real quick? And then she said it and I was like, oh, but yeah, she was nervous. Is this her first housewife to housewife affair? Well, Brandy, but I don't believe her. Do you think Alexia is leaving the show respectfully? After seeing how she acted at this reunion, I don't think she's leaving. She pulled every Beverly Hills storyline over the last 5+ years out in one go. She did. I agree. Marisol's behind this like she was behind or ostracizing Leah Black. Oh, good point. I think Adriana stopped giving it to Julia and Julia turned on her because of that. Oh, okay, wait. I was thinking that too, but I didn't want to say anything, but that thought crossed my mind as well. We see each other. Like I couldn't, no, Julia gives me a very jealous lover, honey. And she got real tired of seeing Adriana out here with these other lovers that she has. And she said, you know what? You're mine. That side of the room knew before it happened. It was talked about. Yeah, I noticed that that other side was not surprised. It was the Guerdy, Lisa, and what's her name? And Adriana all seemed stunned. Julia's giving Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction. She probably was in that house throwing ish around. She was like breaking plates, honey. She was like cursing Martina out. That's probably why. Remember when it was a season where they were having marital issues? That's probably why Martina wanted out. She probably said, "You know what? Go be with your new lover, honey, and leave me alone." Larsa has too much work on her face. She couldn't even react. Maybe they were surprised. It's just all that filler and Botox. Do y'all think that Julia tried to rekindle when asking for the character letters and Adriana said, hell no? Julia had Adriana's back the most when they were slipping and sliding. Over the seasons, Julia's protectiveness started to fade. That's a good point. Every season they have marital issues. That's true. Right? Because if that's how she gets down on TV, you already know Julia gets busy at home. Oh, you know she does. Oh my gosh. This is why it still baffles me that they adopted the boys. They don't even love each other. I know her daughters are so embarrassed. She's so classless. Reminded me of Brandy Glanville, thirsty to be on TV, child. Let me tell you something. And be clear, Martina clearly gets into it too. Otherwise, it wouldn't last, like Doug and Jackie. Doug has to be something else to handle Jackie. Oh, absolutely. Is that why Julia proposed to Adriana with that friendship ring? Yeah, I mean, I always felt like when Julia first joined the show, season 4, I always got the flirtatious vibes, but I didn't think anything more of it. If anything, I felt like it was unrequited love. It was like a crush that Julia had on her end, and Adriana was not featuring her. But now hearing this, I'm like, oh, okay. But Julia, listen, I don't care what your orientation is, heterosexual, um, bisexual, pansexual, whatever it is, you don't sit up there and reveal your sexual escapades that you have with somebody in a friend group in private. Like, that's supposed to be a known thing that if you mess around with a friend of whatever gender, you keep that between y'all two. To out that because you're mad, that's messed up. And that's why it shows you really, when you do stuff, you better be ready to stand 10 toes down in it in case somebody gets mad and they want to reveal it. That's why they always say when you do stuff, make sure it's like, okay, if this person should reveal it, I'm going to be okay. Because that's really messed up. And honestly speaking, if it is true, I low-key wish that Adriana would have said something, because Julia doing this now, 4 years later, is so diabolical. Yeah, it's so childish. This is not high school. Exactly. Julia is pay me sexual. Yes, very much so, honey. Oh my gosh. And to out somebody you hurt is extra crazy. I agree. I feel so bad for Adriana. It's so wrong how she added Adriana. What if her family didn't know that about her? Exactly. That goes to the grave. Exactly. All right, honey. No, it's true, honey. She says she's American Express sexual. She's trisexual. She'll try anything. As long as there is a dollar amount at the end of the rainbow, she's honey, she's coin sexual. Exactly. As long as there is a dollar at the end of the rainbow, honey. No pun intended. As long as there is a dollar in the pot, she is going to have a good old time. All right. Yes, honey. As long as the price is right. Okay. So, yes, cut the check. Cut the check. Okay. Yes, honey. You said bisexual. Y'all have me screaming in this chat today, please. Oh my gosh. Y'all are so funny. Yes, honey, as long as you have a dollar and a dream for Miss Julia, honey, she gonna bust it wide and have a good old time. I'm not even mad at it, because you have these girls out here and can't even get a Subway sandwich. So all right. Julia said, honey, she got her throat spray on deck. Okay. Oh gosh. Oh, this is just yes, honey. She said, I'm leaving here with something. Oh, you said yes, honey. The partner still has to be attractive, though, in my opinion. Okay, listen. She's anything sexual at this point. Yes, honey. She said her love language is cash money. Okay. And she said her pronouns are also cash money, too. She said you could call me she, her, money, cash, dollar, sign. Oh my goodness. Y'all are so funny today. My God. My God. But yeah, Julia, that made for some good TV. Yes, honey. Yes, honey. Listen, my pronouns are AMX, short for American Express. And a platinum one at that, okay? Y'all have me screaming today. Oh my goodness. Did I miss you? All right. Mm-mm-mm. Oh my gosh. Y'all will not sit up here and have me wheezing like this. We see each other, all right? Okay. But yeah, Julia, that was wrong of you to do this. I hope we get to the bottom of this in the next episode. You have Adriana saying, why? Now, Adriana, did you catch the preview? You hear Adriana saying, why would she do this? It's a lie. And then she said something to the effect of, why would she say this? And it sounds like she's saying, why would she reveal this now? So I don't know. I can't get a gauge of if Adriana is now trying to cover up. I don't know what's going on, but you have Julia revealing that they had sex more times at the Versace mansion. That was not their one and only time in the Hamptons. I just said, Julia, you should feel ashamed of yourself to do this to your friend. I don't care if you guys do fall out. Some stuff is you take it to the grave. Y'all did what y'all did, and it is what it is, and nobody has to know about it. That's like, it's just a mess. Oh my gosh. You said amexual. I love it. Yeah, Adriana sounded dazed and confused. She did. Legs to the moon and face in the place. And a good time is had by all. Oh gosh. Coco Jones, and you do it too for a check. Oh my gosh, y'all are so funny. I'm just happy we don't have to wait until the part 3. Same here. All right. You said AMX, a mess. Julia told the truth. Adriana's face told me everything I need to know. But you know what? I think that, Adriana, if this is true, I just feel like don't allow anybody to embarrass you with your own tea. You know, Funky Daniva always says, never let a bitch spray you with your own tea. So Julia is telling the truth. Just own it. And, you know, be loud, be proud, and just say, I'm a grown woman. I can do whatever I want. It's nobody's business. Nobody can judge me. And it is what it is, in my opinion. Y'all had me so hot from laughing. My face got so oily. Oh my gosh. You guys have me screaming. I always have these oil blotters on deck. Like, these are lifesavers. I have the world's oiliest skin. But no, I just feel like, Adriana, don't allow anybody to embarrass you. If it happened, it happened. It is what it is. You enjoyed yourself, obviously, if it's true that you went back for seconds and thirds. But don't let Julia sit up here and run you off and embarrass you with what happened. You said be who you are for your pride. Yeah, Adriana needs to own it and move on. I hope she comes back for season 8. Yes, it keeps you young forever. That oily skin. No, it does. It really does. Yes, Julia's the one who embarrassed herself. Yeah, I'm like, no, like, Adriana, nobody's judging you, girl. We're judging Julia because Julia's pathetic for doing that. Martina's a part of the problem for not checking Julia's bad behavior. For the sake of my marriage, I would say quiet. That's a good point. Plus, what does it prove? Julia is a bad friend through and through. No, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I think that, you know, for all my married subscribers, you know, you guys, you know, you're one, right? And that's your spouse, like that's your best friend, that's your spouse. It's your family, and you want to protect your family, protect your marriage. Why would you out this news that now makes your spouse look stupid? Because essentially she's made Martina look like a fool for admitting to this, for saying this out loud. It's one thing to say this to your spouse and you talk, or you say this to a small group of people who won't say anything, but to say this on national TV, she's now made a fool out of Martina. And I won't be surprised now if they end up getting divorced. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't believe it. I believe Julia tried to, but it didn't happen. Again, I'm torn. For some reason, I feel like Adriana's reaction kind of threw me for a loop. I felt like it looked like she was upset that she brought it up. I'm split down the middle. I feel like part 2 will really reveal if I believe Julia or not. Yeah, now you got your partner looking crazy. They got the kids now. Julia knows Martina won't divorce. She trapped Martina. Very interesting that Guerdy, Adriana, and Lisa are all friends. That tells me Lisa is the next target for Alexia and Marisol over the next 2 parts. And you did that to the person who helped get you those children. It is. I agree. It's very sick. Next thing you know, Julia will be singing opera under Martina's window to get her back. Oh my God. That explains why Adriana traveled to visit her mom. Oh, she left after the reunion, right? Julia is a clown and despicable pick-me. I agree. The bros had a long discussion after that reunion. Oh, for sure. Brooke, Martina's fully in on it to get Adriana off the show. Oh, wow. After the reunion. Oh, wow. Oh, I see why. Yeah. I mean, anybody would be hurt. That's messed up. You don't do that. If it didn't happen, Adriana would have flipped out. Good point. The same way she missed her cancer appointments to practice opera, a stunt that only served herself and not Martina. She may be evil, but she's always collateral damage in that marriage. I believe it because why would Julia embarrass Martina like that? But she is a desperado. Yeah, that's a good point too. Julia has likely cheated with several times with men and women. Wait, finished. Oh, you just finished watching part 1. The cliffhanger. Oh my gosh, is this for real? Yeah, we're talking about it right now. I would flip it on her and say, when I stopped giving it to her, she hooked up with Marisol and Pow, both of them. I don't think Julia likes Martina. She's there for the money. Oh, I've always felt that way. Child, Julia is selfish. She's not even thinking of Adriana's son. Julia's following Mia's lead and blowing her marriage up on TV. Well, remember the man Larsa saw Julia kissing. She is out in these streets. Yeah, that's a good point. I agree. No, you're right. You listen. No. You and I, we see each other. That's my main point in this all. Whether it's true or not is not the point. You should not expose people like that. Oh, I agree. Hands down. That's the biggest issue that I have with Julia doing this. You don't do this. Julia is wrong for this, and she knows better. And this was a very desperate attempt to stay on the show. Julia, you should feel ashamed of yourself to do this to your former friend. Some things you just don't do. No, I agree with you 110%. 110%. I hope Andy questions Julia hard. I don't think that they're interested. I don't think Alexia or Marisol, no, Larsa, no, I don't see them. I mean, I don't think they really like her as a friend either. So I don't see her getting with them. Why would Julia reveal something like this after just going through the adoption process unless Martina already knew? That's a good point too. Do you think Julia will be fired after this or come back? When I first look, the beginning of this first part, I just knew that Julia was going to be gone. But now with this bombshell of this news about her and Adriana, now I think that they might have her back on now. I don't know. I can't call it. I really can't call it. Do you guys think that Julia will be gone after this, or do you think that they'll have her back on because of the fallout of this revelation? Bravo loves Julia, so she's staying, I think. Julia trying a rich opera singer after this marriage, child. Oh, okay, so y'all think that she'll be staying. If this is all a plot to get Adriana off the show, then they are all sick and twisted in the head. I hope that Adriana wouldn't get off the show or leave the show because of this. No way she's leaving. She possibly saved this reunion. They will keep her. She's the skin that they like. She wants her storyline, and I'm not interested in it. They protect her for a reason. She will be back. Julia should stay with the morally bankrupt bunch. Guerdy should leave. Kiki's not needed. The boobies and dildos banter is overplayed. Well, is it overplayed when you have Julia over here outing a friend and revealing this? So she makes Kiki look like Disney Channel, honestly. It was tacky to bring it up. Classless. I agree. She's sadly probably staying. Does Julia bring in any viewers? Well, no, but she did after this, I guess. You have folks tuned in now because she revealed this. Who wanted to hear about Julia's sexual escapade? Not me, girl. I think they will all come back because of how polarizing the season was. I hope Adriana does not leave because she's nothing to be ashamed of. And if Julia also stays, I hope Adriana stays on her neck. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope Adriana, I hope that if Julia does stay, then I need Adriana to also stay too. I've never in my life met a Julia stan. But wait, why are the others fine with this when they got so mad over at Guerdy showing the text messages? I agree. No, that's my exact point. The double standards are blatant. They are in our faces because they should all be just as outraged at Julia pulling this stunt the same way they were so mad at Guerdy. Oh, they're definitely not going to be friends again. No, when some things there's just such a some things are such a violation, there's no coming back from. Because I'm sorry, something like that's one of those things where it's like you both made a pact that no matter if you speak again, you're not going to bring that up to anybody. Period. And for Julia to do this on national TV was really nasty. Yeah, this is the final straw. The goalpost is always moving. The bros don't see it for Guerdy. That's how you know these women form alliances and don't really care for being honest and holding people accountable. Oh, agreed. They don't care or like Guerdy. Julia keeps proving that she cannot be trusted. I agree. If Dr. Nicole doesn't come back, I ain't watching anyway. Marisol's drunk ass needs to go. They got rid of Rinna for her level of chaos. I feel like Marisol is way worse. Yeah, there's no coming back from this. There's no coming back from this. She pretty much got what she wanted from Adriana and moved on. Yes. After the 3 extreme outbursts, she should not return. Also, the audience can't stand her. The line keeps moving like Candy Gal says. Yeah. Agreed. Oh, Julia. Oh, I think I didn't want to miss the super chat. Hey, Robert, thank you for the super chat. They need to change this episode title to Gaslighting Part 1. I agree. The way they did Guerdy in this first half of this first part was really tough to watch. They're going the Potomac route where there's too much beef to make the show work. It's too divided. Julia went the whole season trying to convince us it was Adriana being jealous of her friendship with the bros. How did we get here? Exactly. Julia did this to save her spot on the show. Julia did this because she saw the writings were on the wall. The viewers couldn't stand her because of what she did to Guerdy. So Julia came in here with the plan and agenda to do say something so outrageous to stay on the show. Because be clear, if her and Adriana come back, this is going to be a major storyline. So Julia, this, like you guys said, it was a last-ditch effort and she should feel ashamed of herself. Yeah, Julia was salivating, waiting to tell her business. So sick. Yeah, she was. She was. She couldn't wait to say. She was like, "Can I say something? Can I please tell you this? Can I tell you this, Andy? Can I say something?" And then she's like, "The reason why we're no longer friends is because of what happened in the Hamptons." I was like, "Girl, why would you do this? Why would you do this?" I also did not like Andy's attitude towards Guerdy. The plot was really the plot was really in how early they taped this reunion. This is really the scheme that they made to save Julia. That's a good point. Julia for sure told Martina she was going to tell everyone of her and Adriana. Oh, I can see that. I agree. Adriana and Julia need to shade and throw it down each other next season for this. I'm ready to watch because Adriana will read Julia. I think Marisol and Alexia put a battery in Julia's back. Oh, absolutely. And she rehearsed with Martina. And Julia knew that. That's why she exposed her own tea. Just trash. Larsa planned this attack. Hey, Lavette. You see, we're running on time this time. I wasn't going around and around the mulberry bush like the last live. I've been on time. You got me. You whipped me into shape last time, Lavette. I'm still scared of you from the last live. She has over 30 years of team strategy experience, Jordan and Pippen level defense and offense. Julia's so thirsty to stay on this show. How are you 105 years old, still wanting fame and money? She'll do anything for fame. Yeah, honey, we're on our best behavior now. Yes, honey. Yes, honey. Lavette is in the building, honey. She runs a tight ship. Oh my gosh, that was a fun day on here. Yes, honey. Keep us on track, honey. Get the people together. Lavette came in the door with her belt in hand, honey. She said, "Belt to ass, get to work, stop all this going around and around, and just get to the point, please." Oh my gosh, honey. Lavette said belt to ass on everybody. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Oh my goodness. The belt, honey. Oh goodness. Yes, I wish Miss Lavette was at the reunion to help Guerdy out. Same here. She would have had a belt and say, "Guerdy, get to the point." Oh my goodness. Y'all have me screaming. I sat up straight when Lavette came into the live. Like shoulders up. Yes, honey. She said belt to ass. Don't play any games. Let's get to work. Stop. Oh my goodness. Yes, honey. She would have had her stressed because Guerdy was talking in circles. Circles. You said, "Child, me too. Wrap it up, Guerdy." Yeah, no. Yeah, she does. She does struggle in that area. I feel bad. I wish she was better off taking some notes and rehearsing what she was going to say because Guerdy flopped. That was such a missed opportunity to get to the point, and she failed to do so. Yeah, Guerdy, I agree with that. Guerdy is way more long-winded than Dorit is. She kept going in circles. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I agree. One of the few times we needed a rehearsed read. Lavette, please talk to Andy, please. He kept getting on my nerves. Oh, yes, honey. Guerdy dropped the ball and missed the touchdown. Exactly. No, she did. She did. Mm, 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 mm. They minimize Guerdy's feelings and gaslight her as if she had no right to them. No, they definitely did. But I was waiting for Guerdy to get to the point when Andy asked her 3 times. Andy asked her thrice, what was the point of those text messages? And she failed to deliver the point. It really broke my heart. Yes, this was not the time to become Shakespeare. Yes. The problem is that Guerdy thinks she's the problem is that Guerdy thinks that she's an effective speaker. Wake it up. That's the truth. I think Guerdy will do better in part 2. I hope so. You're way more optimistic than I am. I don't see it. I don't see it. Going back to Stephanie, what did she really offer this season? Lots of promotion, very little impact. I agree. I mean, I feel like Stephanie gave us something. She did have the beef with Alexia and Marisol. I'm not going to completely discredit Stephanie. She gave us something. I'll say that. We've seen newbies do a lot worse. She gave us something. Yeah, Guerdy was not great at the last reunion either. She wasn't. Oh, I meant to say that. Thank you. Guerdy kept saying same during Stephanie's segment too. Yes, I was confused about that. When Stephanie said that I'm in a male-dominated field and I have to speak harshly, and Guerdy was like, yeah, same. I was like, Guerdy, hello? Yes, Guerdy does not want any criticism. Adriana was trying to help her. Exactly. Yeah, it was really awkward. It was really weird. I was like, what is she talking? I was like, what is Guerdy talking about? She didn't come for anybody's esophagus, so I'll give her her 5.5s. Exactly. Yeah, she didn't need to butt in. I agree. That did annoy me. I was like, yeah, she did that a lot. Because Lisa said something when Lisa said, I'm working on my stuff about the therapist. And then Guerdy did that too. She's like, yeah, same here. Yeah, same. Me too. I was like, Guerdy, it's not about you right now. I like the side with Stephanie with that party. It was nice. Yeah, same here. I feel like Guerdy has so many people coming for her. She doesn't know how to whack them one by one. Miss Kenya Moore whacked all the girls on her own at the reunion. Very true. Guerdy seemed very off. She needs a housewife mentor. Brooke, in your opinion, who was the MVP this reunion? We're only in part 1. I don't know. I can't call it. I can't call it just yet. I don't know who I would say. Yeah, I don't know who I would say was I don't think anybody was the MVP this reunion in this first part. And I know folks might say Julia because of the tea that she gave at the end, but that's not MVP behavior to me. That's desperado behavior. That's pathetic behavior. To do that, to throw your friend under the bus like that and make your wife look stupid, like you know what I'm saying? It's hard for some people to organize their thoughts when they feel really emotional about a situation. That is true. Miami reunions are always lackluster. Julia earned best stunt woman, and that's it. Yes, honey, because what she did, that was very much stunt. Honey, that was a stunt. Julia should feel ashamed with that sorry stunt that she pulled. Low-key, Lisa's the MVP so far. All right, I guess I'll give it to Lisa. Yeah, I'm not really sold on it, but if I have, yeah, I guess so. I guess Lisa or Adriana. Wait, what did you say? You said Stephanie's plane was the MVP. Everyone is a chomp. I agree. Do you think that Julia will try to become friends with Adriana in the next season? Because I have a feeling the bros will start will slowly start to diminish their relationship with Julia. I don't know. I don't really know how that. I don't know where Adriana and Julia go from there. The same way I don't know where Julia and Guerdy go from there. I really don't see where Julia and Adriana go from there. And don't get me wrong. I know that Guerdy was assaulted. She got water thrown at her. But for Julia to pull this stunt on Adriana, that's also a lot to deal with. They missed opportunity to have the set be a plane. Oh my gosh, that would have been that would have been really funny. Yeah, I was happy that they didn't drag it out until the third part. I think that because Miami's ratings are already so low, Andy said, let's put this in the first part to get some people to watch parts 2 and 3. Because now you have people saying that they had no plans to watch this reunion. And now when they saw the clips on social media of Julia outing Adriana and their alleged affair, this has people saying, oh, I want to tune in now to parts 2 and 3 now. So Andy was smart. He said the ratings already aren't that great. Let's get them up and let's spill it. And that's a good plan, honestly. And remember how they were all huffing and puffing about how Guerdy can show the messages, but they're okay with Julia exposing and outing Adriana, the double standards. Yeah, oh, I agree. We don't need 3 parts for every reunion. I agree. That's what I did. I wasn't going to watch. Oh, okay. See, so this drew you in because we're all going to be seated for part 2 to see what Adriana's response to all this is. We all want to know did this really happen? Is Adriana going to admit to it happening? So they were smart to put this in the first part. I was surprised the tea was spilled early. Julia going to say she had an affair with Andy too. In Europe, the Housewives reunions are one reunion. Oh, okay. They can really make a reunion 90 minutes and it's okay. Oh, I agree with that for sure. But Andy wants that money. The network wants that money, honey. They want those ad dollars. They want that money just like Julia wants that money. Did you notice how Andy kept using the word toss instead of thrown to minimize Julia's threat level? Oh yeah, that's a good point. I did notice that. That second part had Alexia and Marisol looking nuts. It did. Yeah, from what I see from the trailer, they look a little bit nervous. I've seen people dragging production for hiding these unseen footages of Julia. Yeah, I think that there needs to be some accountability on their end because why are you chopping out her messed up moments? If this were anybody else, you would have shown it, but why are you hiding the fact that she almost knocked somebody out and she broke a chair? Like, why are we hiding that? Yeah, Miami numbers ain't hitting though. No, it's true. But I feel like Miami might see the biggest rating spike next Thursday because I feel like people who are not Miami watchers are going to tune in next Thursday to hear the continuation of what happened between Julia and Adriana. Because I had people who don't watch the show, and when I retweeted the clips of when Julia revealed that, people were like, "Oh my gosh, do I need to watch Miami?" So I won't be surprised if they do get a boost in numbers for the second part. Yes, they're hiding this woman's unhinged side and making us think she's just some peaceful homemaker milking goats. When I told my boyfriend that they filmed the reunion 8 weeks ago, his face had me in tears. He was like, why the F would they do that? It's so far out. They should have filmed when the finale airs or the day after. Oh, I agree. If that happens, then Julia's definitely not getting her pink slip. It's a shame they have to use this to get viewers. I agree. I won't be watching next season. Wow. I feel like that's the sentiment of a lot of the viewers because this season was really hard to watch. And then watching this first part with them gaslighting Guerdy, I see a lot of y'all not tuning back in. Has Julia or Adriana posted anything about this on social media? Oh, I haven't seen anything. Um, I mean, I'll check, but I haven't seen anything. Yeah, production did the same BS with Giselle. They protected her when Monique cleared her. Oh, yeah, with the binder, yes. Because yeah, the rumor has it that Giselle was in tears when Monique did the whole binder stuff. It's not fair to the viewers when they protect their fave. Oh, I agree. It is a disservice. Oh, I agree with that. I do agree with, especially when you show everybody else when they have breakdowns and they're emotional, but when you protect one person, it's not fair. I agree. I feel like we definitely I feel like we were robbed of not seeing that moment of what Giselle was really saying and thinking when Monique did that to her. I agree, because we've seen Candace cry a million times. We've seen Wendy cry. We've seen Robin shed a tear. Ashley shed a tear. But the fact that we've never seen Giselle, you know what I'm saying? No, they did, because they said that the people said that Giselle was having a breakdown on that set when Monique came out with that binder. Are you going to Yeah, I'll be at BravoCon. I will be at BravoCon. I cannot believe that it is next month. I'm like, where has the time gone? It's such BS when they protect their faves. Like, Bravo, be like Brooke, be fair even to your faves. I agree. Yeah, I feel like everybody should be fair game. No one should be above anything. I agree. Yes, and that's my yes. Oh, what a great point. No, it's so true. Ironically, that would have humanized Giselle for a lot of people. Exactly. It was a wasted moment for sure. Oh, I agree. I agree. Had we seen her cry and we would apps. I agree with that. They never give the grace to Candace or Wendy, but they will go the distance to protect Giselle. Yes, I do want to watch London. I just haven't had the time. Also, I need to get a VPN because they don't have it on Peacock. I had to get Hey You to watch it. These months have been flying by quickly. They really have. Y'all, I have been on here long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I had a great time. I am going to stop it right here. And then I need to rewatch OC and then figure out when I'm going to do a live for OC because the episode looked like really good. But I hope you guys had a really fun time with me today. 2 lives in a row. I had a great time with y'all. And with that being said, I will see you all later. And thank you all for hanging with me. I'm glad I could make it up to you. But yeah, I will never, like, love y'all down. I will never go this long without seeing you unless I'm on vacation. But thank you all for rocking with me, guys. You guys are the best. But guys, have a great rest of your Friday night. And I will see you all soon. I'll see you for Potomac for sure. Like, Potomac, get your snacks ready for that recap because we gonna talk. That's gonna be a really good recap. But I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye, y'all.